What an amazing view.
Today we are in Saanich, BC.
And as you can see behind me, we've got the best of all worlds.
There's urban, rural, beautiful Mount Doug.
The ocean. Does it get any better than this? Is this where you might live?
This is our first feature on a brand new show, and we're talking all about Saanich.
Welcome to your house.
I'm Gordy.
Thank you.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Come and walk in.
When visiting the home of Gordy and Ravinder Dodd, you can expect to be greeted with big smiles in their sun-filled Saanich house. The couple have lived in Broadmead for the past 27 years, where they raised love and a man and often have their 3 granddaughters over to visit. Gordy and Ravinder have turned over the management side of their business to their children. This has left more time for their philanthropic work in Canada and their home village in Punjab.
My family belonged to Sikh religion, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he said that, just like a share if you have access, share to the unfortunate people. So that's what I have always in mind. Even I go back to my country, I go twice in a year. The kids can't afford the education, so I help them. Kids can't go to medical service, so I help them. And here in Canada too, just like I do every year, Thanksgiving Day. That's the day I love it, just like I want to thank God by feeding those people. And so far, in the last 20 years, we have fed about 40,000 people on the island.
That's just fantastic.
And I'm feeling pretty proud,
I'm sure.
that.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't know is that you're also involved with the Walk for Peace and the Victoria Hospice.
So this is about 7 years we have gone to the Peace Walk, and whatever that like money is collected, we give to the Victoria Hospice.
I've seen some of your commercials. I must say the Hulk is my favorite. Can you talk a bit about how you got the idea to do these commercials?
I have a hobby of singing, and I have a little bit hobby of acting. So, always, watching American channel, and what they say, just like do something different. Do something different than the other people. Taking all the movies, old movies and television shows like Bob Barker, running for 50 years and still running, I act like a Bob Barker, and people love it. Price is right. Yeah.
You're right! Oh, funny.
Whenever he comes on the TV, the kids is starting saying, Grandpa, Grandpa, Nanaji, Nanaji's here, Nanaji's here. So they're so happy to see Grandpa on the TV.
If someone was asking you, what advice would you give to someone who wants to have a successful business, what would your advice be?
Businesses in these days, that like need lots of hard work. It's a competition, and working as a 40 hours is not enough. You have to work a little bit more to establish. When you establish, and then you can scale down. But otherwise, just like you need lots of hard work, honest. That's what happened with me, like I work hard and you can say it's successful.
It's a bird! It's a plane! Super Sync.
He's part Superman, part family man, part businessman, but mostly known as a man who makes life better for other people.
Hello and thank you for tuning in. We're here with the District of Saanich edition of Where You Live, and I'm here with Mayor Richard Atwell, and who better to talk about Saanich than him? How are you, Mayor Atwell?
I'm great, thank you.
Great. Well, I thought I'd ask you a nice easy one off the start. What do you love most about Saanich?
Well, I lived in Saanich for most of my life. Not all of it, and I went away for a while, but I returned to Saanich because it had a natural beauty about it. And it's a rare community. It's in a perfect harmony, I think, between rural and urban. And so we really have the best of both worlds here in the community. And that's what I really treasure about it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So I would say along those lines, I know you implemented recently a new program called Park Watch. So I would like you to talk a little bit more about how that advances protecting the natural beauty of Saanich.
Well, part of protecting the beauty is so that we can enjoy it. And so the Park Watch program is a combined effort between the Saanich Police Department and our Parks Department. And it's kind of modeled on the Block Watch program, it's sort of email list based, to connect the community with those two departments so that the parks can be enjoyed to their fullest. We have a number of issues around camping and vandalism. Gorge Park is one example where there's an allotment garden there. And so it's to bring a level of awareness and to bring those departments closer to the community for the enjoyment of everybody.
So I wanted to ask you, right around the time you were being elected, the Mackenzie Admirals Overpass was approved. And I wanted to congratulate you on your role in the implementation of that project. But now that that is underway and that's being addressed, I wanted to ask you about the new $12.5 million approval of the bike lanes along Shelburne and what your feelings are around that, and specifically if there are any lessons to be learned regarding Mayor Helps's Biketoria plan.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the fundamental job we have as politicians is to listen and to act. And listening means listening to all stakeholders. It doesn't just mean listening to those that are advocating or perhaps lobbying for improvements.
Right.
And so anytime these changes come forward, we have to be mindful of everybody who's going to be impacted. And it might be construction impact, it might be a permanent impact, widening of roads and things like that, or reducing the amount of roadway, going from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. And I think the lesson with Biketoria is that mea culpas they fall flat with the public. And I think they make people cynical about the process when we're really trying to increase the level of awareness and inclusion. And so I think the lesson for Saanich is that this isn't something we're just going to push on residents. It's a concept, and council's pushed it forward, but we want to involve all stakeholders in the solution because we quite easily could be moving a lot of traffic into neighborhoods, and that's unwanted. And there's a lot of peak traffic in Saanich. And so we want to keep making the community better and better, and not just making one aspect of it better, making it, say, safer for cycling.
Yeah. Let me start off by saying, yo, I live my life with no fear, no matter the time, place, space, or year, 'cause I'm clear on the way I live my life, and it bleeds through my pen in these poems that I write. All my thoughts, latest beats made in hours that you sleep, sessions starting by midnight, setting the mood right, incense lit, rolling blunts under candlelight, and cruise on through all the way till the golden hour, sitting ponder crunching pebbles underneath feet, deriving happiness from the little things I find sweet, staying Swayze, never lazy, daily operation, approaching life with finesse, skill and hella patience, not looking for praise, share my thoughts freely. You got something nice to say, save it for my eulogy, and play this track at the same time. Grab a memory of me and freeze that moment in time, 'cause rain clouds in the sun seem to upset some, but they sure do uplift me, 'cause the weather is the real treasure, not technology. Rain clouds in the sun seem to upset some, but they sure do uplift me, 'cause the weather is the real treasure, not technology. Hard pressed for the lessons in these lines, so I soul mine and look for nuggets that'll warm minds in cold times. Capture moments in their essence, distilling the excellence, and use this medicine to touch lives with innocence. Fringe benefits, and yo, that's just life. I take the good with the bad and say, I'm feeling hype, 'cause I could breathe today. I wish that everyone could find this humble hideaway. We ain't running from nothing, we dealing with it. Express it from my soul and connect it to my spirit, which stays essential with the lyrics. Hope that y'all could hear it and feel it and give it more attention than a sparkling image. I'm here to replenish, not diminish and demise, like to help to open eyes, visualize, realize, captivate, motivate, investigate for their own sake, translate fate with a smile and a handshake. Rain clouds in the sun seem to upset some, but they sure do uplift me, 'cause the weather is the real treasure, not technology. One shout out to my man Gibson, rest in peace, man.
Meet Mr. DP, Derek Powell.
I mean, I fell in love with hip hop when I was like 10 years old or something.
Born and raised in Saanich, his crew growing up lived for hip hop, and some even pursued it professionally.
The lifestyle didn't appeal to me at that time, so I never left music alone, but I left that group of life alone and just went and did my thing and just lived life and enjoyed farming. Basically was 10 years of my life. I started farming with seed saving, actually. It was an apprenticeship I did to learn how to save seeds. That's really the most important aspect of farming. Really? Sustainable farming is seed saving, because you think farmers, they plant seeds to grow food. Where do the seeds come from? If the seeds aren't secure, there's no farming.
He has farmed in Europe and around Vancouver Island, but says he really connected to the soil at Halliburton Farm. Some of you may remember that big news story in 2001 when there was a battle to keep the property from becoming yet another subdivision.
And when it was up for sale, the neighbors came around and tried to rally to keep it as farmland and approached Saanich with a group of farmers sort of on their side and said, Saanich, please buy this land and put it aside for farmers, and they did. So it's been bought by Saanich and it's now designated as demonstration farmland. There's some really key things about growing in Saanich that are really awesome. One is not specific to Saanich, but the West Coast. It's just our climate. It's that year-round growing capability where we can have food in the ground all year round. That is hands down the best part. Saanich has some pretty good soil, especially out in the peninsula. If you can find a piece of land in Saanich, the other bonus is you're close to town. So much work to be done. In the last sort of 2 years, I backed away from farming and brought more music back into my life.
Now that he is back to focusing more on his music again, Derek still wants to keep farming as part of his daily life. Yes. And he's chosen to do so in, you guessed it, the form of garlic.
This is the kind of grow up that everyone should have.
Growing 11 exotic varieties on the side of Mount Douglas, he plans to grow this garlic for years to come, and he'll also continue to turn it into some of the best garlic powder around. He'll do this all while enjoying traveling away from the comforts of home.
Now it's not necessarily that this is the only place I want to live, but this is always home. I like to leave here, but this is where I always like to come back to.
Coming up after the break, Derek visits one of the gardens he helped build for the owners of the Village restaurant. We will see how they are keeping the local culture alive and well in Saanich, BC.
Hey guys, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kyle. We're the owners of the Village restaurant here in Gordon Head.
And so we opened here about a year ago. Our focus is on locally sourced, ethically raised ingredients.
We're really happy to be out here in Gordon Head as we both feel that this area has sort of been underserviced as far as food has gone.
Food, being the operative word here, is also sourced here, as much as the two can get their hands on.
I mean, I think there's a lot with our food system that we're always looking to import everything when we have the capability of doing almost everything here on the island.
Enter friend and farmer Derek Powell, who helped them set up a garden next to Brian's childhood home.
Right now, since it is kind of off-season, we have 287 kale plants going right now, but we've just planned out what we're going to plant for the whole year, from carrots, beets, radishes, bunch of beans, which we're going to then pickle, preserve, and then serve either in the winter or later on in the year.
The veggies serve as edible garnish on beverages and rustic decor. The duo also source out their baked goods locally. Their bacon comes from the Red Barn Market, and Island Farmhouse provides their ethically raised local Cowichan Valley chicken.
So these are the Lockwood Farm eggs. They come from Cobble Hill. It's a local farmer. He has about 3,000 chickens. We use these eggs because they're fed with a non-GMO feed, and they're healthy chickens that live normal chicken lives.
And those are some bright yellow yolks.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's talk about poaching eggs, because this is a science.
So it's a lot of the temperature of the water. If it's boiling, they're not gonna do what you want. It's got to be a simmer. So just a little bit of bubbles from the bottom coming out.
Really?
Yeah, and then the big trick is to spin the water so the egg actually folds over itself and makes a uniform looking egg.
Locals say that they are happy to have a restaurant in walking distance, as Gordon Head isn't necessarily known for its food scene. Their regular Rudy even has a dish named after him.
Latkes, the potato pancakes, 4 scrambled eggs, and fruit.
They recently celebrated their 1-year anniversary of opening this Torquay location and say it's thanks to this tight-knit community.
Thank you for coming and supporting us. It's been a good year.
So I understand you were born in the UK, and that a lot of Greater Victoria's municipal governance is actually based on similar UK traditions. And along those lines, I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on the growing debate about amalgamation or combining municipalities versus preserving the municipalities.
You know, there's an interesting history to the region. It really started out with Fort Victoria, and then Victoria was incorporated, and then Oak Bay splintered off from Victoria. View Royal was incorporated, I think, to raise money for sewer taxes. Central Saanich was part of Saanich at one time, and Saanich was incorporated 110 years ago. But they decided to split off because of a focus on farming and less on development and so forth. So our history has been to split apart. And so to bring it all together, I think, is going to be sort of the great challenge for this region in its long history. Now, if you look at the facts around it, if you look around the situation itself, you know, we've got 14 planning and engineering departments.
Right.
And the borders, they're not noticed by anybody.
Right.
You know, just by, you know, ourselves and the dotted lines on the map. So it's very hard to coordinate all of those groups. And regional planning around transportation, you know, where office buildings should go. You look at the wonderful growth that's happened in Langford, but that's come as a traffic consequence. And so their autonomy allowed them to do that. So I'm very focused on looking for solutions to these things, but at the same time, that representation that we have at the moment is something that we cherish. It's very easy to get access to myself or other councillors. When you have a city like Surrey and there's 1 mayor and 8 councillors and 300,000 people, it becomes more difficult. So you have to put, you know, processes in place and take advantage of technology. And, you know, right now we're trying to do our best to interact on social media, but it's a big challenge because there's just so many folks out there. So I look to, and I say, an amalgamated city of how much harder that's going to be. And I think that's something that we need to try to preserve.
My name is Seema Saxena. I'm born in India, and India is quite famous for movies and stuff, and especially right now, Bollywood is like a second Hollywood.
Yes.
And that's what my dream was. And I did tell my dad, he has passed away now, but I did tell him, but we were not living in the Bombay. That's where the Bollywood is.
Seema's childhood dream of appearing on TV and commercials took a back seat once she married and had children. Her husband Manoj helps her with household and parenting duties, but like many mothers, she finds it hard to find time for herself.
Now you're mom, you've signed the contract. So once in a while I'll joke with them, I think that's enough of the contract. I'll say at least till like 2012 or 11, I don't remember the exact year. My family, everything, it surrounds my family, which still does. But somehow, somewhere, like eating healthy, going for exercises and stuff has added. I think the reason for that is that I found that kids are old enough that I can put some time for myself. Last year, around this time of the year, in Saanich News, I saw the article, and it says Miss BC. My daughter went to the site, went in, and she saw it, said, Mom, it says Miss Teen, Miss, and Mrs. And she said, Mom, why don't you go for it? And then all that passion has come back. And before that, I really didn't care. Oh, okay, I'm married, I have kids, who cares? What do I look like?
That childhood dream came flooding back. She enrolled, and well, the rest is history.
So this is
Her motivation was not to win, but she did anyways. Seema is now at the end of her Mrs. Vancouver Island term and says she feels better than ever.
And here is my crown.
Like this is the best version of you.
That's correct. That's what, it's the best version of me. Like even though, my son is 22, my daughter's 18, I don't feel that I'm old, but I feel like I'm having time of my life.
I think it makes sense now if we could talk a little bit about maybe your 3 biggest challenges as mayor and facing council.
Yeah, number 1 has to be the EDPA, the Environmental Development Permit Area Bylaw. It came in about 4 years ago, and it didn't receive social license from the public. It was implemented, and by the time the public figured out how it was going to work, they realized it wasn't something that they were interested in.
Right.
And you need to have this level of adoption for things to go forward. Laws don't work if people don't want to follow them.
Right.
So it's created a lot of anxiety for folks who live on the waterfront.
Right, in Cadbury Bay particularly.
Cadbury Bay, it's a very green area, heavily wooded, and there aren't many areas where you can make changes in your backyard and so forth. So when the bylaw came in and said you can't do this in an area where it just looked like lawn and garden previously, it created a lot of confusion. And so council's approach has been to hire a consultant. And so we've got one report in that's going to feed into another report, and they'll come back with some recommendations for council, and hopefully there's social license on those recommendations so council can take some action. Second thing that's facing us, I think, would be housing, cost of housing, availability of housing, affordable housing. There's been a bit of a boom, and all of a sudden the vacancy rate has just gone down about 0.5%, and so we're really challenged by that. We're a popular place to live among other municipalities in the region, but people are struggling for places to live. Number 3 would be transportation. We're kind of a victim of our success here. So many people have flocked to the region, we're having trouble getting around, and now we have to start looking at the bigger projects and deal with rail and try to get that working and those kinds of things so that we're not just spending our time idling in our cars, but also to encourage people to use other modes of travel. And that's why we're building more bike lanes, and we're trying to make those connections in the neighborhood so that people can enjoy a healthier lifestyle, and so that we can reduce our greenhouse gas impact, and so that we have a better life.
You're back! We just got home, and first thing I thought, I gotta come to the stand, I gotta get some carrots and some good vegetables again.
Thank you for all that you and David do in protecting our farmland, and for years we've had eaten so well.
Such a pleasure, such a pleasure.
Natalie and David Chambers love Saturday mornings. This is the day all their hard work is revealed. Regulars arrive on foot, vehicle, and bicycle to Madrona Farm to purchase their seasonal produce.
We had a little bit of a real winter here in Canada, Victoria, and so we had quite a bit of damage to our vegetables this year, but quite a few of them made it, and we are just about to launch into our spring planting.
As eco-cultural food growers, the Chambers live for providing the Saanich community with locally grown, organic produce. The two are also activists fighting to protect the Blenkinsop Valley.
We could have purchased the farm, we could have easily sold the front and owned the back, but we decided to do something spectacular.
Hi, I'm Farmer Dave, and I'm asking you for $1 to protect Madrona Farm forever with the Land Conservancy of British Columbia.
After a 24-month-long campaign and close to 3,000 donors, the Land Conservancy was proud to announce Madrona Farm was saved and would remain in agricultural production forever. Now that the Chambers hold the first long-term lease on the property that was originally David's grandparents', they are continuing their fight to protect this land and surrounding areas.
The urban containment boundary is like a double ring of protection on the Blenkinsop Valley. if you look at the Blenkinsop Valley, not all of it is actually protected by the ALR. And so the urban containment boundary keeps the sewer enterprise out of it, and it keeps development from coming into it. Often you find the rural-urban conflict happens when the buffer lands go. And you're finding it from the Cowichan Valley, throughout the Saanich Peninsula, and in the Blenkinsop Valley.
The next fight they have on their hands is all in the name of soil.
We are working on the second phase of the Protect the Blenkinsop campaign, which is the SOS Blenkinsop, which is Save Our Soils Blenkinsop. These soils on the south coast are special and deserve special classification. They are a result of 8,000 to 10,000 years of coast salish, laguanum, songhees management. Our current ecology, the Garry Oak ecosystem, the fertility on the Saanich Peninsula are all a result of these activities. So we must look at protecting our food security.
Everything is so amazing. I can't have a favorite.
You can find Natalie and David Chambers at their farm stand on Blenkinsop Road, Wednesday to Saturday mornings from 11 a.m. until dusk. And a word to the wise, Saturday, get there early.
And lastly, on a more positive note, I wanted to ask you what your 3 biggest successes have been so far during your tenure as mayor.
First success, I guess it was almost right off the bat, would be the breaking the deadlock on the Alberg farm.
We talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, and that was, something that had, almost brought a neighborhood to its knees. There was, fecal matter ending up in dog bowls and, things like that. And you couldn't open your windows. And it was, a bit of a procedural issue, but I think it was mostly political. And it really took a new administration, if you will, to look at it differently and to look at it for the facts. And with support from council, we were able to get it to a happy, I think, conclusion. Second accomplishment is probably bringing an openness back to the municipality. I campaigned on open government. We're very much for that kind of openness and transparency and accountability, and it starts with the openness. So we've made changes to our bylaws, and that has allowed for this to happen. And I want a more inclusive organization that is listening to its residents. Third is probably launching of the governance review. It was something that I had wanted to take on in my inaugural address, and they've just launched their public engagement, and that's going to reach out to our residents and gain feedback, and they're going to tell us really how we're doing and what they want to see in a government. We'll get the results towards the end of the year, and then we'll sit down as a council and decide what to do with them. And I'm quite excited about that, because these are there's no monopoly on good ideas,
right.
And I know a dozen of them and more are going to come from our great community.
Great, I thank you so much, and I again congratulate you on everything that you've accomplished so far, and we look forward to everything that Saanich has to look forward to come.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if anyone has any questions or wants more information on anything we talked about today, you can go to www.saanich.ca.
Well, that wraps up our first episode of Where You Live. We hope you enjoyed getting to know Saanich a little bit better. And a huge thanks to our volunteers. Some were on camera and others behind the scenes. If you'd maybe like to volunteer or have any questions or comments for upcoming episodes, please send me an email. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time in the warm land.